if you ever wanted to learn how to change your past, if it's possible, how to do it, what are the steps, what are some examples, we're all going to cover this in this specific video. What is very important before we dive in, you already see the agenda, so there are many points that I want to cover today with you. What is very important is that you watch this video fully. I'm not just saying this for the YouTube watch time and for the YouTube retention and that, you watch this video very long and that this serves my YouTube channel. This is always a great side effect, but I'm mainly saying it because the points that I'm going to explain you in here, they won't make sense if you just skip through it. If you just want to listen to a quick example, if you just want to listen to like the explanation on what revision is, how it works, then you might get some points. But I'm always a big fan of understanding the bigger picture of something, right? Understanding the full spectrum of something and really connect all the dots, because then it actually starts to make sense. Then you can actually apply it in your life and test it for a certain use case that you want to apply to, right? So watch this video fully for your own good to get the most out of it. If you just want to nitpick, you will find the timestamps in the video description, so you can just click on the section that you want to watch. If you want to watch the examples, if you want to watch the alternative to the revision, you can just watch that and jump. But I would say watch it fully, you will get the most out of it, okay? So enough talk. Let's talk about today's agenda. Right, so first of all, we should look at the current and also the new paradigm of time. Because most people, they still think that life works chronologically, and then therefore they can't understand how revision could be possible. Right, but if we look at the paradigm of time, you'll understand that, wow, this actually makes a lot of sense. Also to your rational mind, which is limited in its understanding of manifestation, which all of our minds are. The mind cannot comprehend something that we imagine, which is not here yet, but it still exists. The mind can't really comprehend this. But this paradigm that I will show you will also make sense for your mind. So we will look at this, because only then revision makes sense when you understand the mechanics of time. Then we will look at a detailed explanation on revision, right? What is it? Why is it important? How to apply it? I'm going to show you some examples, right? So that you know some use cases where I used it, where some of the members of my program used it, some new examples, and then you can see if maybe in your life you have a good case where you could maybe use revision, where you maybe experience something in your life that you didn't like, but you keep carrying that experience with you. The memory always comes up and you keep re-identifying yourself with it, and you finally want to let go of it and detach from it. Well, then watch this video, right? So how to apply it step by step. How do you actually do it? How do you actually change your past, revise your past, let go of an old past, identify with a new past, so to speak. And I want to show you a very powerful alternative to revision that I've not seen out there in the manifesting space at all. So it will be truly eye-opening to you and really helpful to manifest your goals, okay? So let us dive right in, and let's first talk about the current and the new paradigm and the model of time. Right? And this is how the current model of time looks like for, I would say majority of people out there, right? They say, okay, in my life, where I am right now, this is my now. I had a past, right? So there's this past, the thing that I did yesterday, the thing that I did 3 weeks ago, and all of that. And then there's a future, right? Things that will happen to me tomorrow, and in a week from now, and in a month from now. And this is like this line, right? Past, there's a now, and then there's a future. And the more you go into conscious manifesting, the more you also start to imagine things, the more you realize, wait, when is this imagination taking place? So let's just say there's a certain future, and let's just say in a week from now when my friend visits, I want us to be together at a certain restaurant, or I want to go on a trip, or I just have a desire of something that I wish to happen in what we call the future, right? What happens soon. But the moment when I imagine it, when I close my eyes and when I start to imagine it, when is that happening? Right? When is that experience of that act, of that scene, of that manifestation, of the wish fulfilled? When I close my eyes right now and I experience it, when is that happening? That is also happening in the now, right? So, and then when I go back in the past and I imagine that what I experienced yesterday actually went in a different way, that actually instead of them saying no, they said yes. Or instead of this happened, actually that happened. When is that experience taking place? While I imagine. Well, that is also taking place in the now. So that brings us to the new model of time, which is that basically everything exists in the now. the moment where the video started, maybe 3 minutes ago, that still is there, right? But now there's like an automatism to that. You now shifted to this point in the video, right? And then at the end of the day, you say, okay, it's evening. But the moment you woke up, that is still in existence, right? That past, your morning when you woke up today, that is still in existence, because you can imagine how you woke up differently, or how you woke up, and instead of maybe you woke up feeling not so good, you can reimagine how you woke up feeling excited. So this is still all happening in one now moment. This is all a big now. This is all happening in the right now. But of course, from our human perspective, it wouldn't serve us if we all experience it all at the same moment. Life would be confusing. It would not make sense. So of course we have this perception, we have this paradigm of there is a pause, this happened yesterday, right now I'm recording this video, and in the future this evening I will be out at the dinner, right? So yes, of course we have this time frame. It's of course serving us. I'm not saying you should totally throw this away and forget about it. No, it's fine, right? The mind, on this level, we have time. On this level, we have seemingly separation, and this happened, and now this, and this will happen soon. This is fine. But in order for you to understand revision better, in order for you to understand how you can revise a past to experience a new now and a new future, you need to understand that it's all in existence already, right? Creation is finished. Everything you could have ever been, everything you could ever be in the future, it's all in existence. So meaning, there is not only one past that belongs to you, but we'll come to this in just a second, right? And like Albert Einstein said, time is an illusion. It all just exists right now. And the more conscious you become, the more aware you become. And if you go in, everyone that was in the meditative state realizes that, knows that the mind perceives time. But if you distance from the mind, you become simply aware, you become the I am, you become present, then you know, wow, it's all taking place right now. Okay? So, what we know, what I said in the beginning, is that we know, like from the manifesting teachings, we at least believe that, okay, there are multiple futures that can belong to me, right? I can become this, I can shift into this, I can imagine this. So I determine the way how my future plays out, right? I determine the way on what I manifest next, so to speak. I'm sure we all would agree that there is not just one set in stone future, because depending on what you imagine today, your future will look different. If you right now imagine that you live in this city, well, you will start to move there. If you right now start to imagine something different, your future will look different, right? But this is where most people are at right now when it comes to manifesting. They think, okay, yeah, so okay, it's all now, and I can choose from different futures, so to speak, and determine the way that I want my life to go. But they think, yeah, but my past, that is how it is. But the big problem is that most people infect themselves by their past. The past continues to play out. I will later also share some quotes by Neville Goddard with you, who talked about that in great detail. But let's just say you experience something undesirable in the past, and the memory comes up right now, and you think, oh yeah, that happened to me a day ago, that happened to me a month ago, that happened to me a year ago, whatever it is, then that re-identifies you in the here and now again with a certain state that you found undesirable, and therefore whatever you are identified with in the here and now is what you keep also projecting into the future. So that is why it can be super helpful to revise, because then you rid yourself, you disidentify yourself from something that you no longer want to stay identified with, right? So what that means is that also multiple paths exist. If creation is finished, then there is not only one past, right? You might say, if we go back to this image, right? You might say, okay, this happened to me, right? I experienced this past. This was been said to me on the phone. They said no, or I experienced this. This happened 2 weeks ago, and as long as you keep reimagining that, yeah, that is what you keep identified with. But you do have the power through your imagination to also experience something else instead, right? You could also say, oh, what if they actually didn't said no yesterday, but they said yes? What would that be like? So you can go in your imagination and basically shift to that past and imagine that they actually said yes. And this is also taking place. This is also happening right now. So you imagine that they said yes to you, and this will disidentify you from this one past that you keep carrying with you and project in the future, and it will help you in the here and now identify you with a new past, which is not actually the past. It's still playing out right now. You're just keeping it alive in your inner world, and it keeps projecting. But if you disengage from it and identify with a new state, well, also your relationship to life and to this circumstance and to the future things will change. So by revising the past, you rid yourself of any effect it might have on the future, right? Because again, if something happened, it has an effect still on you right now. If it was like an undesirable event, if things in your seemingly past were all fine, well then it's good. But sometimes, the effect keeps playing out. So by revision, we rid ourselves of this effect that the past might had on us. And revision is truly the key, which can be used to unlock the doors that have kept you trapped in a particular state. And that is important, right? Because if a memory comes up, oh yeah, I've always been treated like this, you're again identified, you again pollute your inner world with that state, and it keeps playing out. Because the past, you're still identified with it. So that means you're still identified with certain states. So what revision is, it's already like a key learning in this video, is that by revision, it helps us to disidentify with unwanted states, and in the here now identify with the states that we want to be identified with. Right? Because like we learned in the beginning, when we imagine the past went in a different way, it's still a shift in the here now, because imagination and consciousness always is here now. So that means that in the here now, we make a new state in ourselves by going back 1 day ago, 1 week ago, 1 month ago. But actually it means that in the here now, when we reimagine that in a different way, we make a new state. Dwelling on past irritations or hurts perpetuates them and creates a vicious cycle that serves to confirm these negative emotions. Right? If we always come back to it and stay identified with it. The circle can be broken by starting now to revise anything that you no longer wish to sustain in your world. So if there were events that you keep triggering you, that you keep being identified with, why not revise them? Why not reimagine them? We will talk later on how to do that. And by now, I hope that you understand that revision means to reimagine, right? So to reevaluate the situation instead of, oh yeah, this happened to me. Wait, what if this would happen to me? And you give yourself a new feeling that actually things played out in a different way. If, for instance, you had gone to an interview for a job, so this is one example from Neville. So let's just say you went to a job interview that you truly wanted, but later you learned that someone else was hired. You can revise the news to make conform to what you wish you had heard. Right? You may be heard, you may be all right now identified with, oh yeah, person X got hired. But what would it have been like if they told you, wait, we hired you? You right now are maybe not rationally able to grasp how it has changed things. But it does change things because it creates a new state, it creates a new identification. If you react by feeling depressed or assume any other negative attitude, you will then experience the same type of rejection in the future. Right? And that's the thing. Right? So you went to this interview, you got denied, and it might cause you to feel unwanted. It might cause you to feel depressed, or it might cause you to have any negative attitude. And then you carry this with you. But if you break it by actually imagining that you were hired, you broke the cycle. And it creates new states, it creates new assumptions in you. The question might arise as to how, by representing others or a circumstance to ourselves as better than they actually were, or mentally rewriting a letter to make it conform to our wish, or by revising the scene of an accident, the interview with an employee, and so on, can change what seems to be an unchanged facts of the past. Right? And that's what I said in the beginning. Rationally, we think, wait, how does something change in our life if I rewrite this letter that I got mentally and I make it conform to my desired state, or if I re-experience a scene? How can this work? Neville is saying, remember my claims for imagining. Imagining creates reality. And what it makes, it can unmake. It is not only conservative, building a life from images supplied by memory, but it's also creatively transformative. So as a little, let's just say, in between a summary, and then we will continue with some more examples, some more how to do it step-by-step explanations. But what I can already say so far is that yes, you can change your past. I know it sounds crazy to the person who has never heard about manifesting, who's never heard about, consciousness, that it's all existing in the right now. But I make the statement that you cannot, actually it's wrong. You cannot change your past, but you can identify with a new past. everything, creation is finished. So you cannot change something that already is in existence. It will be there forever, but you can, so to speak, change the past that you are identified with, and change it and identify yourself with a new past. And that's why I said you need to watch this video fully, right? Some of you might think, oh, wow, that's real difficult to understand. It's not. It's not difficult when you stay here, just follow my words, maybe rewatch the video. But again, you can reimagine that yesterday something different happened. If something undesired happened to you, you can reimagine that. Therefore, you don't make the undesired cease to exist. You're not changing the undesired. You're just starting to identify with what you wish should have happened instead. Because past and future are imaginative constructs in the now. There is only the now. My image is covering this right now, but if you go back, then there is only the now, right? There is only I am. Everything exists in I am right now, and we're just moving through infinite potentials, but it's all in the here and now. What you claim to be in the present is what you manifest in what we call the future. Right? So what you claim to be true for yourself in the present moment, in the here and now, that is, of course, what the reflection of life in the future will be. So if you're still identified with your past, then you're carrying it with you, like I said in the beginning. So something was said to you, you felt a rejection, and now you always think that this person is rejecting you, because that is the identification you created unwittingly. But what if you go back and you actually reimagine that they never rejected you? It completely changes the relationship to that event, but also to then projecting into the future whenever you see that new person, right? Then you no longer feel rejected. So your past is a continuous structure in the now. Most people reproduce the circumstances of their lives over and over again, because they always say, oh, yeah, so for the last 5 years or for my life, I've always been this person. So they're identified with with a particular past, and they say in the here now, yeah, I've always been this person. They awaken the state gets projected more. What if they would say, no, I've always been this person. I've always been, growing up healthy. I've always been growing up being wanted. It changes their state in the here now. So here are some examples, okay, that I want to share with you. So let's just say a previous partner, a friend, a boss, whomever it is, treated you a certain way, right? Treated you in a way that you perceive as undesirable. And then you unwittingly created the assumption that you're not wanted, right? They said, oh, we've never had a worse person working for us than you. Or a partner said, sorry, but I just can't love you. Right? And you think that you're unloved. You created the state of, oh, I'm hard to love. Or a friend said something to you, right? And unwittingly, because back then you took your cue from the circumstances, you formed a state out of that. I am the person who's this, or this means I'm like this, right? And then whenever the memory comes up, whenever you think, oh, what happened this time in the past? What happened to me? When this memory comes up, you start to this memory still produces the state in you, right? You still reinfect yourself from this past and think, oh yeah, right, I'm unwanted, yes, because it's still alive, right? That experience is still alive. But if you reimagine it, you start to disidentify from this one past you believe belongs to you. You basically, if you go back to the illustration, so this happened here, right? The boss said this, the friend said this, the partner said this. You identified with the past, and in the now, when it comes up in the now, you reinfect yourself from that state, and you keep projecting it into what we call the future. It keeps manifesting. But if you revise it and you imagine something else instead, well, it no longer holds power over you. It's still in existence, but you have disidentified from it. As any future is in existence, you can identify with the futures you want. You can also identify with past that you want, because there is not just one past that is there. There are also other things that could have been said. So let's just go back to the example, right? So you can change the memory, and by the way, some people also call this method, some people also call revision memory flipping, by the way. So you can change that memory by imagining how you would have wanted it to happen instead, selecting another past. It will seem unnatural at first. Of course, when you have for such a long time in your field, in your awareness that they said no, they said no, they said no, and then you imagine they said yes, just as a random example, then of course the first attempt it will seem like, oh no, I'm just lying to myself. But if you actually allow it, if you actually open up to consciousness, if you actually see that, oh, there is not just one experience that I think, yeah, that's set in stone, that belongs to me. No, I could have also imagined something else instead. The more you do that, the more you understand this whole video, then it becomes easier, and you can actually see, oh yeah, they actually said yes to me. The more you do it, the no they said will not something that you will be identified with. So by reimagining how you would have wanted things to happen, you now identify with the new state and lose identification with the old state. So how to use revision, right? This may appear to be something of a fanciful approach to dealing with the past, but it's the power that is beyond measure and should not be overlooked. Your results will speak for themselves, right? The first step is to identify a past negative experience or event that you wish you had that had gone differently that it actually did. So if you want to use revision, understand it's extremely powerful, right? At least be open to my teachings, to Neville's teachings, because this is Neville's teachings, right? And understand, okay, yes, there could be an immense power to it. Second of all, what is that past event that keeps triggering you again, that keeps coming up again, and you keep being identified with always again and again and again, right? Get the clarity on that. Having chosen the event, simply review it in your mind, in your inner world, without any judgment, and then decide how you would have wanted it to have happened. This is your desired version of the past. Remind yourself when you decided upon the ideal version that it already exists timelessly. It is there. Also, this other past also exists, as all possible versions do. And then you come back to that, and then you come back to that desired past, and then you come back to that desired past, and slowly over time, the past that you think has happened to you will feel unnatural, will feel old, will feel, no, that's no longer what actually happened. Actually, this now happened. And this is what you can do via your imagination. Right? In a relaxed state, imagine yourself experiencing exactly what you wanted to have experienced. And again, I'll also share examples with you in a second. Relive the revised experience in your imagination over and over again until what you're mentally imagining begins to feel like it actually did happen the way and it's a natural part of your life without having to think about them. And this works beautifully. Like I said, first feels a little bit unnatural. The more you go back to it, at some point, you will actually feel like that you have experienced that. Right? Here are some examples so that you find some practical use cases. So what you can definitely do is you can revise an argument or negative news by hearing what you would have preferred to hear. I did this. So, for example, and I also shared this story in my program. This was, I think, in November, December, in the Christmas time, 2023. I had an argument with my dad. I never have arguments with my family members, but there I had like a little argument with my dad, and I don't like it when there's tension. And it was at the dinner table. And I revised that this never happened because I imagined that after the dinner was that I hugged my dad and all was good. Was actually the old past would have mean that, we went separate ways and there was an argument and the tension, the mood was not good. But I went back to the scene and I imagined that we actually sit up off the dinner table and hugged, because this implied to me that the argument never happened, or that after the little argument we settled it and all was good. 2 days later, when I was at my parents' place, when I talked with my dad, there was never within me or with him the feeling that an argument happened. It was all super chill, super relaxed as always, and it felt to me we never really had an argument, right? So that's an example. That's an example use case. Revising an argument or any negative news you heard. A friend said, I might have to stay home for a while, or my job, it doesn't look like that they want to keep me at my job. Well, you can revise it. You can imagine that they told you that they can keep the job. You get the point, right? I don't have to repeat myself so often. You get the point. Or revise that a sale, a deal that didn't end in a win, imagining that it actually did end up in a win. When 2 days ago, the client said, I don't know, maybe I have to think about it, maybe, I don't know. You can revise it without expecting that magically 2 minutes later they call you and they say, yes, I want to do it. But it changes the attitude, right? It changes, you still then in the moment feel abundant because they said yes. And that's then also projected into the future, right? So sometimes it plays out in a completely different way than you think it will. You can also revise a bad breakup by imagining both of you agree to actually stay together, right? Or that you imagine a breakup that you actually decided to do a little break, but that it was not this harsh breakup. Or you can revise an accident by imagining it never happened. You can revise a no and hear a yes instead. I did this also many times where I was denied for appointments I rematched and they actually said yes to me. And a couple of minutes later, I got a call and they said, oh, we looked at our available spots and we can actually fit you in. So this sometimes plays out, again, in a way that we can't rationally understand, but that's the power of revision. And to conclude this video, I right now want to share with you one of the most powerful alternatives that I found when it comes to revision and, playing with the past, so to speak. So sometimes, when we imagine something, when we imagine scenes because we want to manifest something in the future, we want to manifest that this happens soon and this happens soon, some people have the subtle feeling still of it's not here yet, right? So I want to manifest this car, I want to manifest this relationship, I want to manifest this health circumstance, I'm imagining it, but still it's not here yet, right? I'm imagining this so that I get it. But what if you place what you desire in the past as though it already happened? Right? So what if you place the car that you want into 2 weeks ago and you imagine something that implies that you already got it 2 weeks ago? I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out. This is extremely powerful because then you can bypass a lot of resistance, like I said. Right? This can help you to bypass resistance because the sense of lack and separation will be gone, that it's missing, that it's not here yet. If you place what you want to achieve in the future as it already happened, 2 weeks ago, 2 days ago, 2 months ago, this can ease you up. And what you can even do, let's just say 2 weeks ago, you visited your family, okay? But you have also desire for a new car. How would you have visited your family, which is something that you keep being identified with? It's nothing that we have to change, it's nothing bad. If you would already had the car in the past, right? So how would you drive to your family, not as you did with your old car, but 2 weeks ago when you visited your family, how would you have driven there if you would have driven there in your desired car? So you can take an event that has happened in the past, it feels very stable, so to speak, that feels very good, and include in that event something that you hope for the future, but place it in the past as though it did already happen in the past, right? So you can connect it to an event in your past to make it easier to believe. I already have it here. I didn't even saw this point. But connect this to an event in your past to make it easier. Right? So place what you desire in the past as though it did already happen. It helps you to bypass resistance. So how would you feel if your wish had already happened, manifested some days ago, some weeks ago, some months ago? What would you have done yesterday in the version of yourself you would like to be? So let's just say you have this desire, you have this desired version of you, but yesterday, when you went to the restaurant, when you went out with friends, how would you have gone out if you would already have achieved your goal? And then reimagine that, bring that into your past, so to speak. This will also make it alive in the here and now and help you to manifest from that. It's super powerful, right? Feel that the thing you desire from your future self has already happened. It is done, right? So it has already happened, but not in the sense of it has happened over there, but no, it has already happened in your past. What would that be like? This is a very powerful alternative way. Place what you desire, what you hope to happen in the future, place it as though it already did happen. And then what do you then need to wait for? It already happened. It already is done, right? Imagine things in your past and bring into those experiences your wish fulfilled as though it already did happen. It is already part of you, right? Instead of projecting it into the seemingly future. Super powerful alternative way. And that was my extensive video on revision. So it works smoothly, it works beautifully in our program. We have also, successes or experiences that people share when it comes to revision. It's super powerful and can definitely help you to disidentify and make alive new states and disidentify with states that you kept being identified with for so long, and now you let them go by imagining that this past actually played out in a different way. So test it, apply it. Let me know in the comments. Use the comment as a feedback section as well. Share with others your feedback. And if you need more help, right? If you want to work with me, if you want me in your corner as your mentor, you want a like-minded community, you want a structured system, step by step, where we guide you through that, we keep you on our hand and one-on-one coach you based on the specific needs that you have, then you can apply for my program. See if you're a good fit. If you're not a good fit, we have other options, we have other alternatives so that you can benefit from our teachings. But if you want to go all in, then the program is definitely the right place to do so. I look forward to see your feedback in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.